So hello guys, today we are going to deploy our social application. So we previously built that social applications if you are new viewers on that channel. So first let's go in my older video and first build that, and if you don't want to build, you just only want to learn how to deploy, just create one folder and let's give it a name which is SOCI social. And after that, what you need to do is I will give you one link. Go in the repository of the GitHub and you will find this social application. Click this. Now let's copy this and open your Visual Studio. So in your terminal, what you need to do is you need to write a git clone and you need to paste this URL which we recently copied from GitHub. So let's enter this. So it takes some time to download our file. Yeah, so our file is successfully downloaded. So now let's write a cd social application. And now what you need to do is you need to download our dependencies. So let's write, if you are using Yarn, just write yarn install. So it will just install all these dependencies. So I got an error here which is yarn redux not found. So what you need to do is in order to solve this error, you need to write npm and let's copy this redux process. Yeah, oh sorry for that. Yarn install redux process. And also let's go in our backend folder. So let's write a social application, and after that let's write a backend. So now what we need to do is we need to also write a yarn install. Let's install this. Yeah, so we successfully create our node modules. So let's try to run this. Yeah, so our server is running successfully. So I got error in the MongoDB. So let's go. So here you need to write your own MongoDB URL in order to connect with a database. Okay, so our MongoDB is connected successfully. So now what we need to do is we need to go in our front end again. So let's see. We still have this problem on the front end. So let's try again. So let's remove our one package, which is React processed. Let's remove this. Okay, so let's reinstall all the packages. Yeah, so we are up to date. Now let's try to run our application, and maybe we will yeah, so our application is running. Let's try localhost, and we got our social application. Now let's try to log in this. Okay, so we have some problem maybe. Okay, so we got a error here. I don't know why, but okay, so user doesn't found. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna register our user. Let's sign up this. Yeah, so now let's we use a mail trap maybe. Mail trap. Let's log in this. So this is my OTP. Yeah, so let's copy this OTP and let's confirm this. And now we got our home page. Yeah, so we have these users. So I'm gonna follow some of these users. Okay, so everything is working fine. So let's go back and we got our user post. So these are our user posts. Okay, so now in order to deploy our server, we are going to use a Linode server. Linode. So in this Linode, I already have account. So go and sign up. Yeah, so this is our Linode interface. After you sign up this, you will got this interface, and now you need to create this Linode, create Linode button, and let's select our Ubuntu. So we are going to use Ubuntu, and then we need to select a region. So I'm gonna select a Mumbai, and then we need to select a plan, Linode plan. So I'm gonna select a shared CPU. Okay, so let's select this $5 a month plan, and let's rename this. So our Linode name is social, and let's enter our password. We are going to use this password in our terminal. And if you want to back up your data, you just click this backup. So right now we are just setting for a learning purpose, so I'm not going to click this. So let's okay, so let's create a Linode, and almost done. Yeah, so our server is running now. So let's go in our VS Code. Okay, so let's go back and select this IP and enter your, let's write yes, enter your password here. So yeah, so we successfully access our remote server. First, what we need to do is, first we need to update our server. So for that, what we need to do is we need to write apt-get, and let's try to update, and our Linode server is updating, our Ubuntu is updating. Yeah, so now what we need to do is we need to write apt-get up upgrade. So let's enter this. Yeah, our server is upgraded. Now what we need to do is we are going to work with Node. So we need to install first npm. So let's try to install npm, and it will just install our npm. Okay, so let's try the npm and v, and we got our npm version. Now what we need to do is let's check it out our node. So when we download a npm, or when we install npm, it automatically download our node. So we need to upgrade our node.js. Okay, so we need our latest. So in order to upgrade our node.js, what we need to do is we need to write npm I G and Yarn. And now what we need to do is let's try Yarn install LTS, and it will just install a latest Node.js versions. Now what we need to do is we need to write a Yarn use, and we need to select this Node.js version. So let's click this, and we need to exit this. Again, let's log in this. Yeah, so now let's try the node v, and we got our latest Node.js version. Okay, so now what we need to do is we also need to install our Yarn, because we build our project using Yarn packages. So I'm gonna link this code in my description. So copy the same code from the description. So I'm gonna copy this, and let's click this, and let's go back. I'm gonna copy this. Let's paste it here again. Copy this. Copy this. So let's write a yarn v, and we got our yarn. So we successfully installed yarn. So after that, what we need to do is we need to install our Nginx. So we are going to deploy our server using Nginx. Okay, so let's write apt install Nginx. Okay, so we successfully install our Nginx. So this is our Nginx version. So now what we need to do is let's write a cd var. Let's write ls. In order to see what are the folders we have inside a var, we need to type els, and it just show us files. So let's write a cd www, and under that we have html. So what I'm going to do is let's go back. Let's remove this, copy this, and paste it here. And look at that. This is our server page. So here we are going to deploy our React.js. Okay, so this is the HTML. So let's write a cd html, and inside this html we have our index file. This index file is this. So this is the index file we have in our remote server. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this. So what I'm gonna do is let's write a rem ref html. In order to remove, we need to write rem and then minus ref. Let's enter this and let's write ls. And now, okay, so let's go back and let's write a rem ref html, and it will just delete. And now we don't have our html file. Okay, so before doing anything, we need to first install our firewall. So in order to install firewall, what we need to do is we need to write apt install ufw, and then let's write a ufw enable. Okay, so firewall is active and enable on your startup. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to write a ufw allow yes, and let's write a ufw allow http and https. Okay, so here what we need to do is I'm going to create a new folder. So let's write a mkdir and let's write a social. Now we create our social folder. So inside this folder I'm going to write some random text. So let's write a social slash index.cs. Let's click this, and here let's write a hi. This is our React.js first phase for testing. Let's save this, control yes, and save it. And in order to exit, we need to write control X, and we are exit from our nano. So let's write ls, and let's write a cd social, and inside the social we have index dot. Okay, so sorry, I just add index.js. We don't need index.js, we need index.html. So let's come back, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna remove our social folder. So let's create a social folder. So let's create our social folder again. So mkdir mkdir social, and let's write a nano social slash index dot html. Okay, so let's write a cd social, and oh, uh, I got a spelling mistake. So let's write a nano. Okay, so let's come back and let's write a hi. This is our let's save this. So we successfully add our index.html in our social folder. Now what we need to do is, in order to add configurations to the Nginx, what we need to do is let's write it nano slash etc slash nginx slash sites variable slash default. Okay, so this is our default server folder. So we are not going to use this. We are going to build another server. So this is our default server. Let's write rm slash etc nginx. So now what we need to do is we are going to delete our default. We are going to delete this default. Okay, so let's remove this nano. And okay, so let's write ls. So right now we have this default file. So I'm gonna remove this default file. Okay, so let's write a rem default, and let's, yeah, so we don't have this default file. We successfully remove from our Nginx. So we also have sites enable folder. So let's write a yarn APT enabled site enabled cd site enabled. Let's write ls, and here we have this default folder. So I'm going to remove this default folder. So let's write a defa default, and now we don't have the default folder. So now let's go in our Chrome and let's refresh this, and we have a 4 and 4 not found page. Okay, so now what we need to do is let's try a nano etc slash nginx slash sites available, and let's try a social. And here we need to add our server. So I'm going to give you this node. So go and copy this. So here I'm going to copy this, and let's paste it here. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. We're going to add it later. Oh, sorry for that. So let's click this again, and let's remove our API location. Yeah, so let's save this and let's exit this. So in our site available we have a social folder, but in our site enable we don't have anything here. We don't have anything. So now what we need to do is we need to write len yes etc slash nginx uh, available slash social, and let's write etc nginx slide enable sites enable social. So whichever folder we have in our site available, it will just available in our site enable folder too. So let's click this and look at that. We have a social folder in our site enabled folder. So now let's write a cd root. And now what we need to do is we need to write nginx -t. Okay, so all of this syntax is okay. So now what we need to do is let's write a systemctl start nginx, and let's write a system and yes the status. So our nginx is running. Okay, so let's go back, refresh this. We need to restart our nginx. And let's refresh this, and like this we got our index.html page on our server. So now what we need to do is we are going to pull our project from Git. So in order to use Git, we need to install our Git. So let's try the apt install Git, and it says install our Git. Okay, so let's go in our project. So here our server is running, and here our front end, not front ends. Okay, our front end is running here. I'm going to add some changes. So I already have this folder on my GitHub, so I'm not going to post it again. I'm going to add some of the changes into this project. So let's write a git add, and I'm gonna add some of the changes. Okay, so let's write a git. So write a git commit. So if you don't have this project in your GitHub, download this project, add all the dependencies, and then post this project in the GitHub. I think you probably know how to post your project in the GitHub. So download this project first, then install all these dependencies, then post it into GitHub, and then we are going to pull that project into our server. Okay. So now what we need to do is uh, let's commit our second time times. Okay, so let's do this, and now let's write a git push, git push, git push origin master. Okay, so maybe let's write a main. Yeah, so we successfully post a new changes into GitHub. So let's go in our GitHub. So this is our GitHub, and we just post some of the changes here. Yeah, so now what we need to do is let's go in our remote server. Okay, so here, in order to push our Git project, we need to generate our SSH key. So in order to generate SSH key, we need to write some of the command. So let's write a SSH keygen RSA, and let's enter this. And let's enter again. Okay, so now let's write a ls a, and here we have our SSH key. So let's write a cd dot SSH. Let's write a ls, and we have our private key and public key. So we need our public key. So now let's write a cat id slash rsa dot pub. So let's copy this, go in your setting, and click this SSH and add new SSH key. So let's write a title, which is social. Let's enter this key and let's add this. Yeah, so we successfully add our SSH key. Okay, so let's create one folder, mkdir social. Let's go into this folder, and now I'm gonna write a git clone, copy this and click this, and let's enter this. Let's try yes. So let's try ls, and here we have a social application folder. So let's go let's go into our social application folder, and we have a backend and front end application. So let's write a cd backend, and now we are going to install the dependencies. So in order to do that, you need to write a yarn install. So let's enter this, and it will just install all these dependencies on our backend folder. So let's come back and do the same thing here. Let's write yarn install. Okay, so let's go into our backend. So first we are going to run our backend. We are going to use PM2 in order to run our backend. So we don't need to refresh it, or if our server crashes, our PM2 automatically again restart our server. So let's write a so search PM2, and then you'll got a website. You'll got this website, click this, and now let's copy this over here. So let's write a yarn global add PM2. So we successfully install our pm2. So let's write a pm2 start index.cs yarn API. So let's write a pm2 startup Ubuntu. Yeah. So our server is running. So let's remove this. So let's go now React.js. Let's refresh this. Okay, so maybe I remove my front end. So let's try that yarn start. Okay, so now what we need to do is let's go now React.js. And in our home page, what we need to do is we are going to change our, let's go in our home page first. And instead of this localhost 5000, what we need to do is let's go in our Linode. I'm going to copy this, and instead of localhost, I'm going to paste this, and let's refresh this. Okay, so let's paste this here, and do the same thing for right folder. And let's refresh this. Our server is running successfully. So here's our application. So I got a little bit problem on our server. So every time I try to log in or I try to fetch a post, it just show me net error, connections timeout or connection reset. So how I solve this issue? What I did is I just searched on ChatGPT. So here's the solutions which I find. So first what I did is I installed this Nmap, and then I just write Nmap p, my port number and my IP address. After that, I got another error, so I asked this way, and I just run this code, and after that, I just run sudo ufw allow 5000 port slash tcp, and after that, my code is, and after that, my backend is run successfully. So that's how I solved the net error connections timeout problem. To go into our React.js, and we need to change the API point. So let's go in our reset, and instead of this localhost, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write, let's copy this, and then what we need to do is we need to paste here. Rather than localhost, we are going to paste our IP address. Copy this IP address and then paste it and you can fetch your data. You just need to change localhost into this IP address or your server IP address. So I'm gonna change this localhost into my IP address. Let's go in our profile, and now it worked. Okay, so still we have some of the problem. So instead of this localhost, I'm gonna paste this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is let's go back into our server. And now here, what we need to do is I'm gonna write this nano etc Nginx available. And then what we need to do is now we are not going to use a 5000 port. We are going to use port 80 in order to fetch our data from the database. So I'm going to copy this, paste here. Oh, sorry for that. And here we need to add our IP address and port. Let's copy this. Let's save this. And now let's exit this. Okay, so I'm gonna restart my Nginx. Now let's go in our home page again. And instead of this 5000, I'm gonna write 80. Let's refresh it. Yeah, so now what we need to do is I'm going to copy this and paste it into every API call. So you need to do the same thing for your every API point. So I changed my API point. So instead of localhost, I just add this IP address plus 80 port number. Now we don't need a 5000 port number. 80 port number will do our 5000 port number work. And we don't need a localhost. We just add our IP address. Okay, so now let's go back and let's log out this and try to log in again. And yeah, so we successfully log in. So let's come back. Okay, so let's kill this program and try to connect it again. Okay, so now what we need to do is let's go in our front end part, and I'm gonna remove this. So now what we need to do is we need to build our production ready application. So in order to do that, we need to write a yarn build. Okay, not in a backend, but in a front end. So let's write a yarn build, and it will just build our production ready application. So it takes a little bit time. Yeah, so my build folder is ready. I'm gonna paste it. Let's run it, and we successfully build our React application. Let's refresh this. Yeah. Now we have this build folder. We need to push this build into our GitHub, and then we need to pull our this build folder from Git in the server. So let's try to git add yuf and build. So it will include our build folder. Okay, so now let's commit. This is our third commit. Okay, so now let's post this. Okay, so we successfully post our changes into our GitHub. So let's go in our GitHub. Okay, so we got this build folder. Now what we need to do is let's go in our remote server. Okay, so let's delete this and let's connect our remote server again. Okay, so let's write a cd social. So here, let's try to get pull origin main. Okay, maybe master. Oh, not here. So let's try to cd. Let's pull our new changes. Okay, so let's write ls, and we got our build folder. So now what I'm going to do is Let's write a cp r build var www slash social. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, so we got our build folder. So I'm gonna refresh this, and we got our applications into the server. So let's log in this. Okay, so let's log out it from here. I'm gonna copy this. And we successfully log in. So we successfully log into our application. Okay, so let's remove this code. Okay, so we successfully deploy our applications into the server. So if you have a domain name, then you can use domain name. So if you have domain name, you can use this domain name instead of this IP. So I don't have a domain name right now, and I don't have that much money to buy a domain name. So uh, if you want to buy a domain name, you can buy it and use it here. And that's it for this video. If you want a video where we use domain name instead of this IP address, you can support me on Patreon.